All right, let's just dive right in. If you're passionate about a cause, but you're kind of wondering, where do I even start? Where do I fit in? Well, you are in exactly the right place. We're about to break down the key roles you can play, educator, advocate, and activist, so you can find the most effective way to make a real impact. So let me start by asking you this. Do you want to just support a cause, or do you really want to champion it? Believe me, the difference is huge. And figuring out your answer to that question, well, that's the very first step. So let's look at the different ways you can get involved. You know, every single meaningful effort to create change starts from the exact same place. It needs a solid foundation. And that foundation, it has a name. It's called education. So, what do we actually mean by education here? Think of it as laying the groundwork. It's all about putting out the objective facts, the hard data, and the real context so that people can actually form their own informed opinions. The goal isn't to persuade anyone of anything, it's just to create understanding. The source material really boils this down perfectly. Education is about answering two super simple but incredibly powerful questions. What is the issue, and why does it matter? If you can get that right, you've set the stage for some real, lasting change. I absolutely love this metaphor from the source. It says to think of education as cultivation. It's like preparing the soil in a garden. You can't just run out and demand action. That's like throwing seeds on dry, hard ground. It's not going to work. First, you have to cultivate that understanding. That way, when the ask for action finally comes, people are informed, they're receptive, and they're ready to get involved. Okay, so the soil is prepared. Now what? This is where we make a really important shift from simply informing people to actually influencing them. This is the leap into advocacy. The key difference here, and this is so crucial, it all comes down to your intent and what you're asking for. With education, the goal is just to inform. The ask is kind of quiet, it's implicit. It's basically, hey, here's why this matters. Advocacy, on the other hand, is a whole different ballgame. The intent is to persuade, and the ask is direct and specific. We need you to sign this petition, or we need you to vote for this policy. See the difference? Let's break it down even more. Just look at the difference in tone. Education is neutral and balanced, while advocacy is passionate and really focused. And the outputs? They couldn't be more different. Education might lead to research papers or informational briefings. Advocacy, that leads to things like policy recommendations and meetings with actual decision makers. Now, here's a crucial point. This isn't just some philosophical difference. It has real-world legal implications. For nonprofit organizations like 501c3s in the US, understanding this line is absolutely essential for compliance. They can pretty much educate and do general advocacy all day long, but when it comes to specific lobbying, there are very strict limits. So how does this actually play out in the real world? Let's take a look at a fantastic case study, the Arizona Master Naturalists. They have to walk this very fine line every single day. I mean, their volunteers are incredibly passionate people. So why do they stick so strictly to education? Well, it's for some very practical reasons. First, they are not a lobbying group, period. Plus, many of their partners are government agencies where any kind of advocacy is just off limits. Ultimately, it all comes back to their foundational mission, which is education. Protecting their credibility as an unbiased source of information is absolutely paramount. And this is the crucial advice they give their volunteers. It's not that you can't ever advocate, but you have to be crystal clear about which hat you're wearing when you do it. Just like the quote says, you have to consciously take off the master naturalist hat and put on your advocacy hat, speaking as a private citizen or on behalf of a different group. At the end of the day, that clarity is everything. It makes sure they're in legal compliance, it protects their credibility as a trustworthy source of unbiased info, and it guarantees every volunteer is a clear ambassador for the group's main educational mission. Okay, so we've got education and we've got advocacy. But what happens when those aren't enough? Well, there's a third mode of engagement that really takes things up a notch. Let's look at the full spectrum of influence. It all starts here, with the foundational role of education. The goal is to inform. This is where you build the understanding that everything else, everything, rests on. And from there, you can move to the strategic role of advocacy. The goal now is to influence. This is about taking all that good information and using it to persuade the people who make the decisions. But when the system just isn't listening, there's the urgent, necessary role of activism. And the goal here, it's to disrupt. This is all about creating pressure from the outside to make an issue absolutely impossible to ignore. This chart lays it all out beautifully. Just notice the progression. The goal shifts from informing to influencing to disrupting. The venue moves from the classroom to the boardroom to the streets. And your role? It evolves from the expert to the ambassador, and finally to the catalyst. Each one is a powerful and totally necessary tool for change. Let's make this really concrete with a quick example. Imagine the issue is a lack of internet access. The expert, the educator, states the fact. 30% of kids in our county don't have high-speed internet. Then, the ambassador, the advocate, uses that fact to meet with the mayor's office and push for a pilot program. And when more pressure is needed, the catalyst, the activist, organizes a big public rally to demand action. You can see how these roles build on each other to create a really powerful movement. So as we wrap this up, the question comes right back to you. Now that you understand the whole spectrum, where do you see yourself making the biggest difference? Do you want to be the expert who informs, the ambassador who influences, or the catalyst who disrupts? Every single one of these roles is vital. And, the most powerful movements, they often need all three. The only question left is, which hat are you going to wear?